Listen to me. Consistency is the difference between average and greatness. Everybody wants results. Everybody wants to be successful. But most people, they only want it easy. Most people are consistent when they feel good, when life is comfortable, when the sun is shining and Wi-Fi is strong. But I need you to understand something. Consistency starts when the feeling ends. Discipline is doing it long after the mood you set it in has left you. You gotta force yourself to show up even when you're tired, even when you're broke, even when no one's clapping for you, even when you don't see the results. That's how champions are built, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. You don't need more motivation, you need a system. You don't need more time, you need more commitment. You don't need more inspiration, you need more grit. And listen, when you force yourself to be consistent day in and day out, you send a message to the world: I'm not here for a season. No, I'm not here for a season, I'm here for a legacy. So stop negotiating with your feeling. Stop waiting for the mood. Wake up and put in the work regardless of how you feel. That's how greatness is born. Let me leave you with this. The person who outworks you isn't always the most talented. They're just the one who refused to quit. Be that person. Force yourself to be consistent and watch your life change. Everybody's fired up when they start something new. You get that energy at the beginning, the spark. You make the plan, set the goals by the gear, maybe post about it. You're hyped, you feel unstoppable. But let me tell you something, that feeling, that high, that's not real strength. That's just adrenaline. That's just emotion. And emotion will lie to you. Emotion will hype you up today and disappear tomorrow. Motivation is temporary. It's like a sugar rush. It hits fast and it fades faster. See, the real work begins when that motivation is gone, when the novelty wears off, when nobody's watching, when your bed feels warm, when your body's tired and your mind starts whispering to skip today. That's the moment where most people fall off. They confuse that drop in motivation with a signal to quit. They think, oh, maybe this isn't for me. No, that's not the truth. That's just the grind introducing itself. That's life asking you, how bad do you really want it? You gotta understand, your breakthrough isn't waiting for you when you feel good. Your breakthrough is hiding in the days when you don't. The real change, the real transformation, that happens when you show up without the fire, when you push through without the applause, when you execute without the energy. That's when you start separating yourself from the pack. That's when you stop being average and start becoming unstoppable. You think champions wake up every day excited to train? You think world-class athletes, entrepreneurs, students, leaders, they're all waking up every day with a smile and a burst of inspiration? No, they're just committed. They made a decision. They told themselves, I'm not doing this for the feeling. I'm doing this for the feeling. I'm doing this because it matters. You can't wait to feel good to do what you said you were going to do. You can't wait for the perfect circumstances. If you only act when it's easy, you'll never grow. Growth lives in discomfort. Success lives in repetition. You know how many times I didn't feel like getting up and grinding? You know how many times I sat in my car, exhausted, thinking about quitting, but I didn't, not because I felt like it, but because I had a vision, because I made a vow, because I understood. Every day I skip is a day I fall behind. Every excuse adds up. Every compromise becomes a habit. And habits shape who you are. So when you force yourself to be consistent, even when it's hard, even when it hurts, you're not just getting closer to your goals, you're building your identity. You're telling yourself, this is who I am now. And that's the key. The most dangerous thing you can do is rely on motivation to get you to the finish line. Because the finish line is far, and motivation won't take you all the way. What you need is a mindset, a standard, a set of rules that you live by, whether you feel like it or not. You have to decide, this is what I do, period. Not if I feel good, not if I slept well, not if I'm in the mood. You show up anyway. You show up tired. You show up frustrated. You show up frustrated. You show up when it's boring. You show up when it's raining. You show up when it's hard. That's where your power is. Not in the hype, but in the habit. Not in the rush, but in the routine. Because anybody can start, but who's going to finish? Anybody can post about it. Who's willing to keep pushing when the cameras are off? Who's going to hold the line when life punches them in the face? That's not motivation. That's muscle. That's self-respect. That's grit. You want to win? You want to be the best? You want to make your mama proud, your kids proud, your future proud. Then you better learn how to keep showing up after the excitement dies. Because your destiny doesn't care how you feel. Life doesn't reward people for starting strong. Life rewards the ones who stay in the game, who keep swinging, who grind when it's ugly, who show up when it's silent. So you better get this. Consistency starts when motivation walks out the door. That's when the real work begins. That's when the real version of you was revealed. Not the version you post, not the version you dream about, the version you become. The one forged through struggle, built through pain, shaped in silence. And we can master that. If you can keep going long after the 5 fades, then you won't just be consistent, you'll be dangerous. Let me know if you like this formatted for a video script, turned into a voiceover draft, or delivered in another tone. Like calmer, more reflective or fiery preacher style. Too many people are living their lives based on how now they feel. They wake up and check their mood like it's a weather report. If the sun's shining in their mind, they go to work. If it's cloudy, they cancel everything. They let their emotions drive the car, and then they wonder why they keep crashing into failure. Listen to me. Emotions are real, but they're not reliable. Emotions are visitors. They come and go. But discipline is a resident. Discipline is that foundation you build your life on. It doesn't change based on how you feel. It stays solid whether you're up or down, whether people clap for you or criticize you, whether it's easy or painful. See, emotion is that voice in your head that says, let's do this when it's exciting. But it's also the same voice that tells you, let's quit when it gets hard. When it gets hard. You cannot trust it. 1 minute it's with you, the next it's against you. 1 minute is hype, the next minute is scared. But discipline says we don't make decisions based on moods. We move based on mission. Discipline is when you lace up your shoes for the gym, even when your legs hurt, even when nobody's going with you, even when your body says a no, but your commitment says a yes. Discipline is when you get up early to study, to grind, not because you love it, but because you love where it's taking you. You don't have to love the process, but you better be loyal to it. Because discipline ain't about liking it, it's about locking in. People always ask me, how do you stay so motivated? And I tell them, I'm not motivated every day. I'm human, I'm not motivated every day. I get discouraged. There are mornings I want to stay in bed. There are days when I feel like I'm not making progress, days when everything feels heavy. But you know what I do? I show up anyway. Not because I'm motivated, but because I'm disciplined. Because I gave my word. Because I made a promise to myself. And breaking that promise, that hurts worse than being tired. The grind lives in the gym when it's empty. The grind lives in the library when it's midnight. The grind lives in those mornings when your alarm goes off at 4 a.m. and everything in you wants to go back to bed. But you get up anyway. That's where champions are built. Not when it's easy. Not when it's fun. Not when there's a crowd cheering your name. Champions are built when it's hard, when it's cold, when it's lonely, when you got every reason to quit and you still choose to keep going. You know what the problem is? Too many people want public rewards for private laziness. They want the crown, but they don't want to bleed for it. They want to flex like a lion, but they train like sheep. You can't fake greatness. You can post all you want, but that won't build muscle. That won't build discipline. That won't build character. You've got to get dirty. You've got to get dirty. You've got to get uncomfortable. You got to suffer a little bit, because that's what forges something real inside you. When I was coming up, nobody was checking for me. Nobody cared. And I could have gotten bitter, but I got bitter. But I got better. I didn't need a spotlight to validate me. I didn't need applause to keep going. I worked in silence. I worked when nobody was texting me back. I worked when I had no money, no bookings, no stage. I worked like the whole world was watching, even when nobody was. Because I knew one day the lights would come on. And when they did, I'd be ready. Not because I practiced in the light, but because I sacrificed in the dark. Most people don't get that. They think the show is where the success happens. But the show is just the result. The real work is done backstage. Sure. The real work is done when the doors are closed and your only accountability is your own word. That's where champions train. In the silence, in the struggle, in the shadows. And let me tell you this, The dark seasons, the lonely seasons, those are gifts. That's where you grow. That's where you develop the habits, the mindset, the toughness. That's where you stop depending on motivation and start depending on purpose. That's where you stop waiting for someone to push you and start pushing yourself. People ask me all the time, how do I get to the next level? You grind when it's boring. You show up when it's hard. You stay locked in when no one is checking for you. You stop worrying about follower and start worrying about follow through. That's how you get to the next level. Not with hype, but with habits. Not with attention, but with action. Not in the light, but in the dark. Because when you train in the dark, you learn to trust yourself. You learn to believe in what you're building. You don't need anybody to validate you. You don't need the trophy to feel like a winner. You already know who you are. You already know what you've been through. You already know what you survived. And when the lights finally hit you, you don't flinch. You don't shrink. You shine. You shine. Because you've been doing it in the dark for years. So if you're in a season where nobody sees you, don't get discouraged. Get hungry. Get locked in. That season is your advantage. That quiet space is your proving ground. You don't need applause to be effective. You don't need fans to be faithful. You just need a heart. You need discipline. You need to believe that what you're doing today in private is preparing you for what you walk into tomorrow in public. Champions are not made by chance. They're made by choice. A choice to show up every day when there's no one clapping. A choice to stay faithful to the grind when results are invisible. A choice to believe that the dark isn't hiding your purpose. It's revealing it. Most people lose before they even start. Not because they don't have the talent. Not because they don't have the potential. But because they sit down at the table with their feelings and start negotiating. They wake up and let their emotions talk them out of everything they said they were going to do. I'm tired. I don't feel like it today. I'll start tomorrow. And just like that, the dream gets pushed back again. The goal gets delayed again. That version of you that you promised yourself you become, it gets buried underneath another excuse. Let me tell you something. You will never reach greatness if you keep letting your emotions run the show. Your feelings are not facts. They're not strategy. They're not direction. They're just signals. They tell you what's happening in the moment, but they don't know what you're trying to build long term. Your feelings are focused on now. Your goals are focused on the future. And if you keep letting a now win, you'll never see tomorrow's promise. You've got to stop negotiating. Stop reasoning with weakness. Stop sitting across the table from fear and trying to convince it to leave. Fear doesn't respond to talking. It responds to movement, action, relentless execution. I hear people all the time saying, I just don't feel it today. You think I feel it every day? You think every morning I'm jumping out of bed like some superhero? No. There are days I'm exhausted, days I'm angry, days I'm discouraged. But I don't ask my feelings for permission. I don't negotiate with laziness. I don't sit there and say, well, if I feel better later, maybe I'll do it. No, I already made the decision. I already committed. The feelings don't get a vote anymore. You got to decide what kind of person you want to be. Do you want to be the kind of person who lets emotions control the outcome? Or do you want to be the kind of person who controls the outcome regardless of emotion? Champions don't operate based on how they feel. They operate based on what they've decided. That's the difference. That's the gap between most people and high performers. High performers move even when it hurts. They execute even when the emotion says stop. They follow through because they made a decision, not because the conditions are perfect. You can't keep opening the door for doubt every time it knocks. You can't keep giving fear a seat at the table. You got to commit and then cut off every other option. Burn the ships. Remove the exit signs. If you keep giving yourself a way out, you'll take it. If you leave the back door open, you'll use it. But when you lock in, when you say, oh, no matter what, I'm doing this, that's when the shift happens. That's when the mindset gets real. That's when you stop playing and start playing and start producing. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It just shows up. Discipline says, we don't care if it's raining, snowing, boring, hard, painful. We've got work to do. And when you build that discipline muscle, it starts to get easier. And not because the task changes, but because you change. You get stronger, more focused, more resilient. And suddenly the voice that used to talk you out of it, You don't even hear it anymore because you've trained yourself to move without approval. You keep looking for motivation when what you need is maturity. You keep waiting for energy when what you need is execution. The truth is, most people aren't failing because they don't have support. They're failing because they keep making decisions based on temporary emotion instead of permanent commitment. You don't build a legacy on feelings. You build it on sacrifice. You build it on discipline. You build it by showing up every single day like it's game day, even when nobody's watching, even when it's hard to breathe, even when the progress is slow. Look, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be the smartest, the fastest, the strongest, but you do have to be consistent. You do have to be faithful to your plan. You do have to act like your goals are non-negotiable. That's how you win. That's how you break generational cycles. That's how you go from average to excellent. You make a vow and you don't break it just because you're uncomfortable. There's gonna be pain either way. Pain of pushing through or pain of falling short. Pain of discipline or pain of disappointment. But only one of those leads to pride. Only one leads to fulfillment. So you choose. Every day you wake up, you've got a choice. Surrender to your emotions or surrender to your commitment. Most people choose emotions and stay stuck. But the greats, they commit and then they grind until their reality catches up to their vision. You don't need another pep talk. You need a made up mind. You need to decide once and for all, this is what I said I'd do and I'm going to do it. Period. Not when I feel good, not when it's convenient, but every day until it's done. Everybody wants to win. Everybody wants success. But very few are willing to do what success actually requires. Show up every single day. See, people think success is about intensity. They think it's about going hard, time, doing something big, making a major move when the stars align. But success isn't about what you do once. It's about what you do every single day when nobody's watching. When the feeling's gone, when it's boring, repetitive, and unglamorous, that's where greatness is built. You're out here trying to sprint once in a while, when this game requires a marathon mindset. You think you're gonna hit it hard for 3 days and change your life? Nah. You gotta keep showing up, even when it ain't sexy, even when there's no results yet. Even when your mind is playing games and telling you this isn't working. You keep showing up. Most people don't fail because they lack intensity. They fail because they lack consistency. They go hard for a week and then they ghost for a month. They grind on Monday and quit by Friday. They commit when it's convenient. But champions are boring. Champions are predictable. Champions do the same thing day in and day out, whether they feel like it or not. They show up when it's hard. They show up when it's easy. They show up when they're tired, when they're uninspired, when they're not getting credit, when nobody is clapping. Because for them, this isn't about hype. Hype, it's about habits. You've been tricked into thinking greatness is flashy. It's not. Greatness is gritty. Greatness is papakatawe alarms. Greatness is stretching when no one sees it. Greatness is making the right choice over and over again until it becomes who you are. It's being faithful to the boring. Showing up to the gym when you're sore, logging those hours on your business when your friends are going out, studying when your brain is fried. That's the stuff that changes you. That's the stuff that separates you. People ask me all the time in meet, what's the secret? The secret is there is no secret. It's repetition. It's discipline. It's the unglamorous stuff. And the reason most people never reach their potential is because they get bored with what works. They want excitement. They want a new hat. A shortcut, a secret sauce. But there's no shortcut to excellence. It's about mastering the fundamental. It's about doing the basics better than everybody else, longer than everybody else. You keep thinking it's about doing more, but it's about doing what matters most every day. Not just when you feel like it, not just when your schedule's open. Every day. It's the consistency that builds confidence. It's the consistency that builds momentum. When you show up over and over again, even in silence, even without applause, that's when the shift happens. That's when you start transforming. And don't get it twisted. Intensity has its place, but consistency builds the foundation. Intensity might inspire you to start, but consistency is what finishes the race. You can't build something solid on energy alone. You need structure. You need rhythm. You need that daily commitment. Not the big burst once in a while, the little brick, every single day until the wall is built. That's how success is earned. I've seen people with all the talent in the world fail because they were inconsistent. I've seen people with average skill win big because they showed up every day and refused to quit. It ain't about being the smartest. It ain't about being the strongest. It's about being dependable. It's about being committed. It's about showing up, rain or shine, and doing what needs to be done. You got to ask yourself, can you be consistent even when it feels like nothing is happening? Can you keep putting in the work even when the results are delayed? Because that's what separates the pros from the amateurs. Amateurs work based on outcomes. Pros work based on standard. They don't lower their effort because the results are slow. They trust the process. They know that if they keep doing what they're supposed to do, the results have to show up. It's not about what you do once, it's about what you do always. That's why the people at the top are the ones who don't quit. They're not the flashiest. They're not the most gifted. They just don't stop. They keep showing up. They keep putting in the work. They keep swinging the hammer until the wall breaks. That's how you build anything meaningful. That's how you build a business. That's how you build a body. That's how you build a mindset. You've got to make your grind non-negotiable. You've got to stop being emotional and start being emotional and start being consistent. Because success isn't waiting on a perfect version of you. It's waiting on the present version of you to show up daily. No more once in a while effort. No more trying hard for a few days and then disappearing. You either show up consistently or you don't want it bad enough. Period. Motivation is cute. It's hype. It gets your heart racing, your blood pumping. You hear a good speech. You see a video clip, and for a few minutes, you feel invincible, like you could run through a wall. But what happens when that feeling fades? What happens when the music stops, the clip ends, and you're staring at the same mountain, the same grind, the same silence? That's where most people fall off, because they were chasing feelings instead of building discipline. They were riding the wave of emotion instead of laying the foundation of commitment. That's why I'm telling you straight. Discipline eats motivation for breakfast. You think I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'm motivated? You think I work like I work because I always feel like it? Nah. I'm not moved by feeling. I'm moved by principles. I'm moved by purpose. I'm moved by the promise I made to myself, my family, my legacy. I made a decision a long time ago. I will not let how I feel dictate what I do. I will not let my emotions choose my destiny. Because if you let your feelings run the show, you're going to lose every time. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the fire that never goes out. You can't build something great on feelings alone. Feelings lie. Feelings fluctuate. 1 minute you're up, the next you're down. 1 minute you're inspired, the next you're exhausted. If you depend on motivation to carry you, you're going to quit the moment life punches you in the mouth. But when you got discipline, real, grounded daily, non-negotiable discipline, it doesn't matter how you feel. You still get up. You still show up. You still execute. Because that's who you are now. Everybody wants to be successful until they see what success requires. Everybody wants to dream until they realize it's guarded by sacrifice, repetition, early mornings, late nights, saying no to what's easy and yes to what's necessary. And none of that is exciting. None of that is Instagram worthy. But that's the truth. Motivation will get you started. But discipline is what keeps you going when the process gets heavy. When the reward is nowhere in sight. When the grind feels thankless. You've got to build a system inside yourself. A non-emotional operating system, a standard. Something that doesn't ask how you feel. Something that just says, oh, this is what we do every day. Whether the weather's bad, whether your friends are flaking, whether the money's slow, whether your body is aching, we do what we said we were going to do, not because it's fun, not because it feels good, but because we committed. The greats, the ones you admire, they're not the most hype. They're the most disciplined. Kobe wasn't great because he was motivated. He was great because he had a routine he didn't break. Serena didn't dominate because she woke up inspired. She dominated because she trained like her life depended on it. Day in, day out, through pain, pressure, fatigue, they locked in. And you've got that same potential, but only if you stop chasing moments and start creating a lifestyle. People say, yeah, I'm just not feeling it today. I don't care. The clock doesn't care. The competition doesn't care. The goal doesn't care. The goal doesn't care. Life does not care how you feel. It only responds to what you do. And if you want results, you better get disciplined. You better get to a place where action becomes automatic, where showing up is default, where excellence is expected from yourself, not just hoped for. And let's be real, discipline isn't sexy. Discipline isn't loud. It doesn't post on social media. It doesn't flex. It doesn't announce itself. But discipline produces results that last. Motivation will have you hyped up and broke. Discipline will have you silent and successful. Discipline will have you building when others are resting, growing when others are complaining, winning when others are still waiting to feel ready. Discipline is the difference between potential and performance. Everyone has potential, but not everyone has the discipline to turn that potential into something real. Because real results require real repetition. Real growth requires real grind. You don't get to show up once, kill it, and call that success. You got to show up 1,000 times when it's hard, when it's raining, when it's slow, when nobody claps, when nothing's changing. And still show up again tomorrow. You keep trying to do big things with small habits. You keep chasing motivation when what you need is to wake up and say, oh, no matter what I execute, period. That's it. Not based on mood. Not based on how sunny it is outside. Based on identity. You gotta become the kind of person who does the work, no matter what. You gotta fall in love with consistency. You gotta stop needing to feel like it. You just do it. Discipline is freedom, it's control, it's focus. It's knowing that no matter what life throws at you, your effort stays the same. Your grind stays steady, your head stays down, and your feet keep moving. That's how you win. Not with hype, not with feelings, but with a spirit that says, I don't stop. Because at the end of the day, the one who wins is the one who kept going. Not the loudest, not the most excited, the most disciplined. You're not always going to feel like grinding. That's the truth. Some days you'll wake up and everything in you will say, not today. Your body will ache. Your mind will be foggy. Your heart will feel disconnected from the mission. You'll feel tired, overwhelmed, undervalued. You'll look at the goal, it will feel so far away, so impossible that quitting will feel like a logical option. And in those moments, the difference between the winners and everybody else is simple. The winners do it anyway. You think I always feel like getting up before the sun? You think I always feel like speaking, traveling, pouring into others? No, I'm human. I get exhausted. I get discouraged. I get angry, but I don't stop just because the feeling isn't there. I don't operate off of feelings. I operate off of purpose, off of discipline, off of commitment. That's what keeps me going when the emotion is gone. Because emotions are inconsistent, but your purpose, that's eternal. Let me be clear. If you only work when you feel like it, you'll never get where you're trying to go. You'll keep starting and stopping. You'll keep building halfway and abandoning the process when it gets tough. You'll keep waiting for some magical moment when everything feels just right. And that moment may never come. If success depended on feelings, only a handful of people would ever make it. But it doesn't. It depends on actions, on discipline, on you doing what you said you do, especially when you don't feel like it. You've got to learn how to move without motivation. You've got to learn how to show up without the applause. You've got to learn how to lock in, even when your heart's not in it. Because if you don't, life will eat you alive. Life is going to hit you with setbacks, with loss, with pain. And if you let your emotions control the show, they'll talk you right out of your destiny. You'll keep putting things off. You'll keep saying maybe tomorrow until the opportunity is gone. The time is gone, and you're left with regret instead of results. You have to build a mindset that says, I show up no matter what. That's the secret. It's not about hype. It's not about getting yourself excited. It's about deciding in advance. You move whether I'm inspired or not, whether I feel strong or weak, whether it's sunny or stormy, whether I'm praised or ignored. I move, I work, I execute, because the goal doesn't care how I feel. It only responds to what I do. There's power in doing it when you don't feel like it. That's where the transformation happens. Anybody can go hard when they're fired up. Anybody can be productive when it's easy, but growth doesn't live in comfort. Greatness doesn't show up in ease. It's born in the struggle, in the repetition, in the decision to grind anyway, to keep showing up when your tank is on empty. That's when you start becoming who you were called to be. Don't sit around waiting for motivation. Motivation is seasonal, but your goals, they require daily attention, daily discipline, daily sacrifice. There are no off days in the pursuit of excellence. There are no I'll skip today passes on the road to mastery. You either do it or you don't. You either push or you stay stuck. And every time you do it when you don't feel like it, you're building something inside you. You're building character, grit, integrity. You're proving to yourself that you're in control, not your moods, not your fatigue, not your fear. I need you to stop using your emotions as an excuse. I'm tired. You think legends are built by quitting every time it gets hard? No, they're built by showing up on the days most people stay at home. They're built in silence, in solitude, in the hours nobody sees, in the discipline that nobody celebrates. They're built when the cameras are off and the pressure's on. And they do it anyway. Look, I get it. You're human, you're not a machine. But you gotta make a decision. Who's in control here? Your feelings or your future? Your emotions or your execution? Because you can't serve both. One of them is going to win. And if you keep choosing to wait until it feels good, you'll always fall short. You'll keep living beneath your potential. But if you choose to act anyway, to grind anyway, to commit anyway, even when you're empty, that's where the magic happens. Every time you push when you don't feel like it, you're building momentum, you're stacking wins, you're proving to yourself that you're dependable, that you can be counted on, that your word means something. And over time, that becomes your identity. That becomes who you are. Not someone who needs hype, but someone who shows up. That's how you win. Not once in a while, not only when it's fun, but every single time, no matter what. You don't wait to feel ready. You move and the readiness follows. You act and the emotion catches up. That's the mindset that separates winners from everyone else. Everybody wants to grow, everybody wants to level up, but nobody wants the pain that comes with it. Nobody the pressure, the discomfort, the stretching. But I'm here to tell you, growth ain't supposed to feel good. Growth ain't supposed to feel good. Growth hurts. It's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient, and sometimes it straight up feels like it's breaking you. But that's part of the process. You cannot evolve and stay the same. You cannot grow and remain comfortable. The pain is the proof that you're moving forward. You're asking for strength, but you don't want resistance. You're asking for discipline, but you don't want the friction. You're asking for purpose, but you don't want the pruning. That's not how it works. You don't become great by staying soft. You don't become excellent by avoiding struggle. Growth demands that you let go of the old version of yourself, and that ain't easy. You gotta outgrow your excuses. Outgrow your laziness. Outgrow the part of you that's addicted to ease and comfort and doing just enough to get by. You gotta get real with yourself. Every time you level up, it's gonna hurt. You're gonna feel lost. You're gonna feel like you don't recognize yourself, and that's okay. That's how it's supposed to feel. You're not broken. You're being rebuilt. You're not failing. You're evolving, but evolution is messy. It's not a straight line. It's not cute. It's not comfortable. It's dark. It's lonely. It's confusing, but it's necessary. Let me tell you something. Comfort is the enemy of growth. As long as you keep choosing what's easy, you'll keep living a life beneath your potential. You'll keep playing small. You'll keep running from the very thing that's designed to make you better. But the people who rise, the people who lead, the people who dominate in their field, they don't run from discomfort. They lean into it. They recognize that pain is part of the process. That pressure is a sign of progress. You want to be strong, but you're trying to skip the struggle. That's like trying to build muscle without lifting weights. That's like trying to learn without failing. It doesn't work like that. You don't grow without stress. You don't become more by doing less. You become more by embracing the fire. It's atonement. By walking through it, by staying in it when everybody else quits. You got to start seeing the pain differently. Stop thinking it's a sign that something's wrong. Start seeing it as a sign that something's happening. Your body is sore. That means you train. Your mind is tired. Your mind is tired. That means you're stretching it. Your life is uncomfortable. That means you're breaking out of your old patterns. That means you're getting closer to who you're supposed to be. Everybody wants the outcome. Everybody wants the blessing. But you got to be willing to carry the burden that comes before it. You got to be willing to do the work in private, to face the mirror, to confront your demons, to sit in the discomfort instead of running from it. Growth hurts because it forces you to be honest. Growth hurts because it exposes your limits and demands more. But that's where you discover who you really are. There's going to be times when you want to quit, times when you'll feel like nothing's changing. But that pain you feel, that tension, that's the pressure that makes diamonds. That's the stretch that builds champions. Every tear, every moment of doubt, every breakdown, that's not wasted. That's the soil. That's where the roots grow. That's where resilience is born. And let me say this. If you're in pain right now, if you feel like it's too much, like you're on the edge, don't run, don't retreat. Lean in. This is your season to push. This is your moment to embrace the discomfort and realize that everything you want is on the other side of it. You don't get to skip this part. You don't get to cheat growth. You've got to go through it to get to it. You want to know why most people stay average? Because they tap out the moment it gets hard. They confuse discomfort with danger. They think pressure means it's time to quit. But I'm telling you, that pressure is your preparation. That pain is your platform. You just have to outlast the storm. You've got to keep moving even when it hurts. Because the version of you that's waiting on the other side, the one who's powerful, focused, fearless, they're only born through the struggle. So stop trying to make it easy. Now stop praying for a smoother road and start praying for stronger legs. Stop asking for less pain and start asking for more endurance. Because you were built for this. You were made to grow. And growth is never comfortable, but it's always worth it. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a plan. You can hope all day long. You can wish, you can dream, but none of that matters if your habits don't match your goals. Everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to be great. Everybody talks big. Oh, one day I'll do this. One day I'll be that. But let me ask you, what are you doing today? Now what are you thinking about? Now what are you feeling? What are you doing? What are you doing? Because your future has nothing to do with your feelings. Your future is tied directly to your habits. See, the problem is too many people are in love with the idea of success, but not the process. They want the outcome, but they hate the discipline. They want the reward, but don't want the repetition. They're hoping success will just happen to them. Like one day they'll just wake up successful because they believed in themselves. But success doesn't respond to belief alone. It responds to behavior. And that behavior is built through habits. You don't accidentally become great. You don't stumble in greatness. You build it brick by brick, day by day, through boring, ordinary, invisible habits. The stuff nobody sees, the stuff nobody claps for. Waking up early when you can sleep in. Practicing when everybody else is relaxing. Saying no to distractions, saying no to comfort. Showing up when your body says, I'll stop. That's what creates a future. Not hope, not hype. Hype, habits. You can't say you want to be successful and then sleep all day. You can't say you want to be healthy and eat junk every night. You can't say you want to be the best and then only give 50% when no one's watching. Your life is not the result of what you say. It's the result of what you repeatedly do. So if you want to change your future, you have to start by changing your daily actions. One small shift at a time. One better choice at a time. You want a different life? Cool. Show me your calendar. Show me your schedule. Show me what you do with your mornings, your afternoons, your nights. Because your habits are the real evidence, not your vision board, not your motivation video. Your real work. That's what tells me who you're going to become. That's what tells me what kind of future you're about to create. Listen to me. I'm not impressed by your dreams. I'm not impressed by your plans. I'm impressed by your discipline. I'm impressed by the way you wake up and grind every day, even when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between people who make it and people who stay stuck. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not luck. It's not intelligence. Consistency is showing up every day with habits that support the life you say you want. You can't keep living with random routines and expect structured results. You can't keep being reactive and expect to build anything meaningful. You have to become intentional. You have to take control. Because if you don't build your habits, your bad habits will build you. And those bad habits, they will rob you. They will rob you of time, Energy, opportunity. They will steal from your future while you're standing still hoping things change. Hoping things change. Let me tell you something. The reason most people stay stuck is because they keep lying to themselves. They keep saying, I'll do it tomorrow. They keep saying, I'll start next week. But if your habits don't change now, nothing changes later. Your success is not waiting for you in the future. It's built in your present, in the choices you make right now, in the discipline you show when nobody's watching. That's where your future begins. You can't just hope your way to a new life. Hope doesn't set the alarm clock. Hope doesn't finish the workout. Hope doesn't write the business plan. Habits do. Systems do. That's why you have to fall in love with the process. You have to make discipline your best friend, because there will be days you don't feel like it. Days when nothing makes sense. Days when progress feels invisible. But if your habits are locked in, you'll keep moving forward, even without motivation. Don't talk about where you want to be in 5 years if your actions today don't reflect that vision. Don't say you want to be elite if you can't dominate an ordinary Tuesday. What you do on the average days, the days when no one's watching, when no one's praising, those are the days that shape your destiny. So get your habits right. Make them sacred. Make them non-negotiable. Because your habits are either building your future or destroying it. There's no in between. Every time you choose to follow through, that's a vote for your future. Every time you wake up early, push past your excuses, train your mind, and follow your system. That's you casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And eventually, all those votes add up. Eventually, your habits become your life. And if you stay consistent long enough, that life becomes unstoppable. You keep saying you want a better life. You want more, you want success. But let me ask you this. What are your habits saying? Because it doesn't matter what you hope for. If your daily actions don't reflect it, hope doesn't get you there. Habits do. You can write down goals, make vision boards, listen to every motivational video on the internet. But if your habits aren't aligned with your goals, you're lying to yourself. Everybody hopes, everybody dreams, but not everybody builds. The ones who win, the ones who break through, they understand something deep. They know their future is hidden in what they do consistently, not what they occasionally feel inspired to do. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. You can cry about your dreams all day, but if you're not executing daily, you're not building a future. You're just fantasizing. Let me break it down. Your habits are the foundation of your identity. You show me what you do every day, and I'll show you what you believe about yourself. If you snooze your alarm every morning, you're voting for a future of delay. If you scroll on your phone instead of investing time in your craft, you're voting for distraction. You can hope for greatness, but if your habits are average, your future will be average. Stop lying to yourself. Stop saying, I'm gonna be great one day, while living like you've got unlimited time. You don't. Every second matters. Every habit is a message to your future. Every repetition is either preparing you or preventing you, and you get to decide right now which one it is. You think people at the top hoped their way there. They built routines that didn't care how they felt. They made excellence a habit, not a wish. Listen, I don't care how big your dreams are. If your habits are weak, those dreams are dead. You want financial freedom? Cool. What are your spending habits? You want to be in shape? Great. What are you eating? How are you training? You want to lead, to impact, to dominate your space? Then your habits need to reflect that. Your routines need to be aligned with the version of yourself you say you want to be. It's not about being perfect, it's about being intentional, being consistent. You don't build a strong life overnight. You build it by doing the hard thing, the boring thing, the right thing, day after day, even when nobody's watching. That's the game. And the more you play it, the more those small actions compound into greatness. People ask me all the time, when get where you are. And I tell them, it's not about motivation. It's not about motivation. It's not about emotion. It's about discipline. It's about doing what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. I didn't get here by hoping. I got here by waking up every day and making a decision that honored my vision. I built my future one habit at a time, and you can too. But you gotta stop outsourcing your power. You gotta stop waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right energy. Those things are fleeting. Habits, they're what remains when motivation runs dry. They're the infrastructure of your future. So if your habits are weak, don't be surprised when your results are weak. You're not being punished. You're just being honest about what you've been consistent with. And don't get it twisted. Life's not going to wait for you to feel ready. Life rewards the discipline, the focus, the relentless. So if you really want to shift your future, you've got to start looking at your habits like non-negotiables, like bricks in the foundation of your legacy. Every day you show up, you're laying another brick. Sloppy work today means a weak wall tomorrow. And when the storm comes, and it will, your habits are the only thing keeping that house from collapsing. You want to stand tall when life gets real? Build better habits now. You want to have options in 5 years. Put in the reps today. It's not glamorous. It's not always exciting, but it works. Success is not magic. It's just doing the right things over and over until it becomes who you are. Let me say this to you directly. If your life is not where you want it to be, it's not because you're broken. It's not because you're unworthy. It's because your habits haven't caught up to your potential. That's all. And the good news, you can change that today, right now. You don't have to wait for January 1st. You don't need a perfect plan. Just start. Start small. Start messy. But start with discipline because your future is watching. It's waiting. And it's not going to be built by what you hope for, only by what you're willing to grind for. You're willing to grind for every single day. There are days when you're going to wake up and not feel it. There are days when your alarm goes off and everything you said, not today. Your body's tired. Your mind's foggy. You don't feel inspired. You don't feel hungry. You don't feel like grinding. And that's exactly why discipline matters more than motivation. Because motivation is seasonal. Discipline is forever. Motivation is loud but short-lived. One day it's there, pumping you up, got you flying out of bed, feeling unstoppable. The next day, gone, silent, nowhere to be found. You can't build anything real relying on something that flaky. You can't build greatness off a feeling. You have to build it on a system, on a commitment that doesn't check in with your mood. That's what discipline is. See, discipline is doing what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel. Discipline is saying yes to your purpose and a no to your comfort. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired. It doesn't care if you're sore. It doesn't care if it's raining, snowing, or blazing hot. Discipline shows up anyway. Discipline laces up, locks in, and goes to work. You think champions are motivated every day? No. What separates the elite from the average is that they keep going after the motivation fades. They've trained their bodies and minds to obey purpose, not feelings. They've installed habits that run on autopilot, so when the fire's not there, the engine still moves. That's how you win. That's how you rise. Too many people live waiting for the perfect move, the perfect vibe, the perfect moment. But life doesn't give you perfect. Life gives you opportunity wrapped in struggle, wrapped in doubt, wrapped in discomfort. And if you're only willing to work when you feel good, you're going to miss 90% of your growth. Because the most important reps, the most defining moments, they happen when you don't feel like doing it. That's when character is built. That's when resilience is shaped. Not on the days when the sun is shining, everything's aligned. On the days when it's hard, when you have every excuse to quit, but you don't, when nobody's clapping, but you still grind. When your legs are shaking, but you still take that next step. That's discipline, that's power. Motivation might get you started, but it's discipline that carries you. It's what keeps the doors open long enough for success to walk through. And if you can learn to master discipline, you become dangerous because now you're no longer ruled by emotion. You're no longer waiting on inspiration. You've got a system, you've got control, you've got something that lasts. It's easy to post when you're hyped, easy to plan when you're inspired. But can you execute when you're drained? Can you stick to the plan when you fail 3 times in a row? Can you keep showing up even when the world gives you silence instead of praise? That's what matters. That's what separates dreamers from doers. Your future self is not going to ask if you felt motivated on June 8th, 2025. Your future self is going to ask if you followed through, if you did the work, if you stayed consistent, if you kept your promises. That's what defines legacy. Not feelings, not hype, but follow through. And follow through is discipline's domain. Discipline is the bridge between your vision and your victory. It's the thing that carries you when the crowd disappears, when the support dies down, When it's just you and your mission, you've got to build a mindset that says, I do it because I said I would. That's it. No debate, no negotiation. You treat your commitments like law. That's what winners do. You want to win? Then stop chasing motivation and start training discipline. Build morning routines that start your engine before you can think about quitting. Build habits that lock in your focus before your mind has a chance to talk you out of it. Structure your days in a way that sets you up to succeed, no matter how you feel. You don't rise to your goals. You fall to your systems. So build better systems. And let me say this. There's going to be days where you feel like